another edition of Pillar to Post here on the 97.3 ESPN YouTube channel. I'm Mike Gill. He's Tom Morgan. As we missed last week, a lot of busyness going around, but we didn't miss a whole heck of a lot.
Really.
Coming off that Elimination Chamber, kind of a wishy-washy Raw, but now the Money in the Bank is in somebody's hand, and we have the Beast back.
That's right.
Been a busy couple of nights, Tom, with Money in the Bank Sunday night.
Right.
I give it an
Hey, you had two pay-per-views within 2 weeks of each other, which is kind of interesting. They had it both on the WWE Network, of course. They justified it that. But when you have those two pay-per-views so close, it's kind of hard to have that build-up. Money in the Bank should be one of the best pay-per-views of the year, considering it's a guy grabbing a briefcase for the contract for a WWE Championship. I called it. Sheamus was going to win.
He did. You know, I didn't love the field in the Money in the Bank match. I didn't love Kofi Kingston. I don't buy that he was going to win the briefcase.
Right.
Neville, I didn't think he was going to win the briefcase either. I think it was either Sheamus or Roman Reigns. I think it was really down to those two. I didn't buy Dolph Ziggler winning the case. And I didn't buy Randy Orton either, or Kane. So I didn't love the field that was in the Money in the Bank.
Sure.
I didn't love the match either. You had Neville and you had Kofi Kingston and you had Dolph Ziggler. And there wasn't a lot of those high-flying spots that you typically would see with those type of guys. So I was disappointed in that match. You had a really long championship match between Rollins and Ambrose with kind of a dusty finish.
Yeah.
And
rest in peace, by the way.
Absolutely. We'll dive into that in just a bit. You had the dusty finish, if you will, in the Paige Nikki Bella match as well. So a couple tributes to him in the Money in the Bank match. But I didn't love the latter match, and I'm okay with Sheamus. Look, he works better as a heel character.
Yes, he does.
And this is something that can really get you maybe to invest in him.
Well, I knew that he was going to capture the briefcase. He didn't win
with conviction.
With conviction, yeah. He didn't win the King of the Ring, and that's when it told me, okay, he's going to win something better, which is definitely the Money in the Bank. Now you have your guys like Neville. And you have your guys like Kofi Kingston that are the high flyers, okay? So they're going to give you the oohs and ahs during a ladder match like that. But chances are, this year in particular, they have a smaller chance of winning. But they're going to do the flips. They're going to do some things that look exciting.
They did.
Yeah, they did.
Not a lot, anyway.
Not a lot. And I think one particular guy, your guy PG over at 97.3 ESPN, was saying that he was really hoping Kofi Kingston win the briefcase. But with the stuff going on with the New Day, I don't know.
New Day lost the belts,
and they lost the belts too. So I'm not satisfied, but I expected Sheamus to win.
Yeah, I didn't love the match. I didn't love the participants, but overall, I thought the pay-per-view was I got to tell you, Cena is a guy that people either love or hate. A lot of people vocally hate him on Raw anyway.
Right.
He stole the show. Owens stole the show. That match stole the show.
Absolutely.
Let me ask you, man. We're about halfway through the year now. I can't think, if we're talking about Wrestler of the Year, John Cena he's been the guy.
Well, yeah, he's definitely, he's built guys up. He has
great matches.
With great matches. He's really been doing his part as a top player in the WWE. He's
the face that runs the place.
Face that runs the place. You expect him to win everything. I did expect him to win Money in the Bank. But he still put Kevin Owens over. Even in that match, he still put Kevin Owens over.
Well, and then the last night on Raw, I give him credit too, because he didn't come out.
Right.
He stayed off the whole show to sell the fact that he was hurt,
yes.
which I thought he had to do, because Owens, if you follow NXT storyline, he powerbombed Sami Zayn into the side of the ring, and he was injured. Alex Riley, same thing. Now, those guys needed to be written off TV because they were legitimately hurt.
Right.
But you had to sell that Cena wasn't more superhuman than those guys. And him being off Raw last night gave you the indication that, man, he really got hurt by that powerbomb. So,
exactly.
But I tell you, the matches that Cena's put in, I mean, the one thing is, this is interesting, and I was listening to JR's podcast about this, and he talked about, all these false finishes, is it good or bad? To sell that Cena gave Owens an attitude adjustment 3 times and he kicked out of it. I mean, is that good or bad that these guys, your finishing move back in the day, if I gave you the Hulk Hogan leg drop, you weren't getting up. If I gave you the Randy Macho Man Savage off the top rope elbow,
you weren't
getting up.
No.
These guys are using their finishing moves multiple times. And
yet they're not getting
Do you like that? I mean, yes, it adds to when they kick out and it's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
But I mean, maybe they shouldn't be using their finishing moves so often to get to that point, because I think that kind of takes away from, man, he just gave him a power bomb and he got up.
Right. And Cena usually, when he gets power bombed in the ring, he usually does get up. There's that whole no quit treatment. But he gets power bombed outside the ring, boom, he's off of Raw.
I thought, though, well, I mean, and I like the fact that they did that, but I thought Cena did a great job showing his frustration. Like, oh my God, what do I have to do to put this guy away?
Yeah.
He had, that great match. He's had the open challenges for the U.S. Championship that have all been great matches with Neville, and he had the one with Sami Zayn. He had just a bunch of great matches so far this year. This guy has gone on 10 years of being the main guy, and they have him kind of in the mid-card. But let me tell you, he's the only guy on that roster that you feel this is a big-time match. I mean, the Ambrose-Rollins match, while I think those guys are great, and I thought it was a great match, it was a little long.
Right.
The finish I didn't love. Here, let me ask you. So they both go up, and they grab the briefcase, and they both have their arms on it, and they fall, and Rollins ends up with it in his hand. That's how he ends up winning.
Right. Or the title,
And to me, they're still having Rollins as this weaselly champion. They haven't put him over as, I'm the guy, and I think, like, at some point, you have to show, like, you have this guy with the belt that he can, be taken seriously.
Well, I'm starting to take him seriously because I think that the Weasley guy is usually the worst of the bad guys. He's putting on some great promos as a heel, first of all, especially what he did starting out Raw last night in Cleveland.
Johnny Idiot Face.
Yeah, right. Johnny Idiot Face. So take a good look at this title, Cleveland. I'm going to take this with me. I think Seth Rollins is putting on. I'm buying it. I'm starting to buy it. I didn't buy it before, but I'm starting to buy it now. But I think that Weasley bad guy stuff is exactly what Triple H essentially was in the 2000s, more or less. He still was big. He still was a hard wrestler to capture. But at the same time, how many times did he steal that world title back in the early 2000s? Tons of times. It would annoy the crap out of the internet community. Oh, Triple H, he's with Stephanie McMahon. He's getting his title, So Seth Rollins, here's a guy who puts on a great promo, puts on a great heel character, and he's going to have that title till SummerSlam. And it's going to be an amazing victory. Or maybe not. Maybe Brock won't be around.
I would assume, and I guess we can jump to that, because the show ends last night with the return of Brock Lesnar, which I think was a surprise to a lot of people.
I think that we kind of expected Brock Lesnar to be coming back around
SummerSlam.
Yeah. We got Battleground this month.
I would think if he's going up against Rollins at Battleground, which is kind of being talked about, he's going to win the belt at Battleground. Yeah. He's going to defend it against somebody at SummerSlam that's going to be a big-time main event.
The big punishment for Kevin Owens for powerbombing MGK is for him to wrestle the winner of Seth Rollins and Brock Lesnar, and that is what's best for business.
Well, here's the thing. My question is, Brock is back. Now, he was suspended.
Right.
Did the authority now side with Brock? Are they saying,
and that's
look,
the confusing thing.
Because we're so mad at what Rollins has been doing, the way he's been acting, go out there and go get
Paul
him.
Heyman handshakes Triple H as soon as he gets in the ring. This whole thing with the authority is very confusing. J&J Security now back and forth with Seth Rollins. And, of course, you still got the thing going on with Kane and Seth Rollins. So,
because he said to him last night, like, I want a match with you. And, he...
Right.
I don't know. To me, they seem like they are setting it up for Rollins to be out on this island all by himself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, are they trying to turn the authority babyface?
Either that, or perhaps he just doesn't get along with anybody. I mean, he is that kind of heel. He doesn't team well with anybody. He doesn't get along with anybody. I'd be interested to see if this is all one big play. Some kind of screw job happens, at Battleground or even SummerSlam, and we all thought they were, and they're all together at the same time, and pull a Vince McMahon teaming up with Undertaker kind of feeling, so.
Or Vince with Austin.
Which
didn't go over very well.
No, it didn't. But I think they're on the right track. I'm just very confused as to what they're exactly doing with the authority itself.
Yeah, well, with Brock back in the picture, I would assume, he's not going to lose. Mm-hmm. He's in a match, he's going to win. Right? So at Battleground, he's going to fight Rollins. I would assume he wins. Yeah. That means who are they setting Brock up to face? at
SummerSlam.
SummerSlam.
Right.
You would think now you got Bray Wyatt, who kind of returned last night, kind of like in a, by the way, he was wearing like a butcher's outfit.
Yeah.
Had like the leather, apron on.
Yeah.
And, but I tell you, they keep bringing him back in these screwy ways. It's like he keeps like popping up in the middle of a match. And they got to find something more. I think they have not gotten the full extent of his character.
Well, it's so random, too, because when Bray Wyatt comes out, he comes out for a wrestler that you just didn't even expect to happen. I mean, we all knew that he was going to be wrestling The Undertaker at WrestleMania with his promos and whatnot, but he comes out of nowhere and robs Roman Reigns of his briefcase. Why? He wants to come out and wrestle Ryback. Why? There's no history, there's no build-up, there's no nothing. Like, I choose Ryback. I choose this guy. And almost the same thing with Chris Jericho when he had that feud with him back a while back. And that was a pretty good couple months there between Chris Jericho and Bray Wyatt. But it's so random. Like if some guy comes out in the ring and says, all right, I'm going to call this guy out. It's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know where that's going with him and Reigns, so that will be, that's already been announced for Battleground. So I don't know. The Bray Wyatt character has kind of been a odd story ever since he's been here, because you thought he was going to be this like top bad guy heel, and they have the lights when he comes out. I mean, it's like he's kind of that middle guy. You don't really know if he's cheered or kind of booed. So I don't know where they're going with that, but I don't know also when Brock beats Rollins at Battleground, unless they are really tied and married to Seth Rollins and really believe in him and they let him win. But I don't have any indication that that's where this is going.
No, I don't think so either. I think if anything, we're going to see Brock Lesnar versus Seth Rollins at SummerSlam again. I don't know. Maybe they just really need to get those numbers up, and they brought in Brock a little early to get Battleground going. I mean, if you're going to do that, you should have just brought Brock Lesnar during the ladder match, have him win the briefcase. That would have gotten a lot of people, because that's what we were talking about.
Yeah, because now who's Sheamus going to be going after?
Right,
Is it going to be a Sheamus Brock?
God, I hope not.
Yeah, I mean,
and Lesnar's a face.
I mean, Sheamus, is a guy. He's a heel.
Right.
So, and he is a guy that's big.
Yeah.
He's physical. So you could get a big physical match between
Sure.
Brock and Sheamus. And, they started to paint the picture of Brock being a babyface in that Austin interview. If you remember when he was on the Steve Austin podcast, he was talking about him being like a guy who's like a farmer, and he likes just sitting out on his farm and hunting and stuff like that. So they were kind of making him like the common man.
Sure,
so we'll see.
Yeah, and he was like that on SportsCenter too when he announced that he was re-signing with WWE. He was just very cool.
Trying to make him a likable guy.
A likable guy. It was a smile on his face, like, "Oh, thank you for having me." Oh, that's not Brock Lesnar. He's tearing up the set by the time the camera's on him.
Here's a question then. We saw Owens win. Now Cena win. Do they go for a 3, Pete now over at Battleground, or do they extend this into a 5, match series out into SummerSlam?
Yeah, I think this will probably. I would think this would end at Battleground. I think it's for the United States Championship. I think we're going to see Kevin Owens win that U.S. title, but I think also somehow his NXT title will be lost before then. That's just my prediction. I have no source of information behind that whatsoever, but I would think that was to be the wise thing, and they're setting Cena up.
But here's the interesting thing with Owens now. He has built himself up to a spot where he can't go back to NXT now and lose that belt. You're going to have to get that belt off of him in some capacity.
Yeah.
So winning the United States Championship could be like, all right, you have that belt, you have to relinquish the other belt.
Sure.
So it keeps him strong.
Because
he's got 2 feuds going on that are pretty, right now, 2 of the best feuds in wrestling. He's in both of them. He's in one with Cena on the main roster, and he's in one with Samoa Joe on the NXT roster.
Yeah.
So does he lose to Samoa Joe? Do they try to... But how do you beat Cena, win the... be a part of that, and then lose to Samoa Joe down on the quote-unquote minor league thing?
Yeah.
And that's a weird situation.
Well, you have
I
Cena...
would see him having to beat Cena to win that belt, and then they say, all right, you have that belt. You're gonna have to relinquish the other belt.
Yeah, or Cena even does a run-in on NXT and costs him the belt. That could be a possibility, too.
Wow, you think Cena could show up on NXT?
Hey, why not?
And how about Dolph last night doing the Open Challenge and wanting to win the NXT?
Yeah, I know.
That was kind of interesting.
It's interesting, but I don't agree with it. The NXT Championship is a minor league belt. Like, why are you having...
Or are they trying to make that another brand?
I mean, well, essentially, yeah. I mean, you've got a guy like Dolph Ziggler who was in the Money in the Bank match for the WWE Championship wanting to wrestle Kevin Owens, which, by the way, was a great match. but for the NXT title. You know, like that
weird.
I don't agree with. Like, I love the U.S. Title challenge because you brought out the guys like Kevin Owens, you brought out Sami Zayn, you brought out Neville. You know, you brought out these guys that made their debut, and now they're cemented in the roster, with the exception of Sami Zayn having his one and done match.
He got hurt.
You got hurt, right? So
I think that's what happened with Owens. Zayn got hurt, and they had to move somebody up.
And I think Kevin Owens is a great person to move up.
Yeah.
But you know, I think the NXT title needs to stay on NXT. And I mean, Kevin Owens being on the main roster should have the NXT championship over his shoulder. It should not have open challenges.
I think that they brought Owens up to expose NXT more to people say, man, I really like this guy. He's on this NXT. I got to go get the network.
Well, and again, they're trying to boost the numbers to it, and that's very smart. You know, and maybe again, that's why they brought Brock Lesnar in a little early to get this Battleground pay-per-view going.
Yeah, and then of course we saw the primetime players win the belt last night, or at Money in the Bank. So.
I was starting to like the New Day heel version.
Yeah,
I was really starting to like it. You know, I didn't like the whole face thing because I thought the whole gimmick was a little cheesy. But you know, when everyone's like making fun of you, you got the heat. You know, the New Day sucks stuff. I mean, I thought that was, you were working the crowd. As long as you're working the crowd, that's all you need. And I thought the New Day thing should have gone on at least till SummerSlam. But you know what? Good for primetime players.
Yeah, and obviously the other thing is, it was funny last night, Paige, you know, she had like this little impromptu meeting.
Yeah.
She's trying to talk everybody in.
All the girls are taking selfies and stuff, like, before she walks in.
Yeah,
like, oh, God.
You know, so, and then she had the, you know, she pins Brie, who twin magics her way into the match, and she ends up losing. And then she said, wait, it wasn't even me, the wrong person. And then she gets beat from behind. So, you know, we said earlier the dusty finish there. And then last night, she says, I'm going to take you both on, and then she loses again. So I don't really, are they really building? I thought it was kind of interesting, too, that Paige said last night that because of who they're married to, they get this status of being, like, you know, kind of in charge here. But I don't know what they're doing with Paige. They've kind of had her on a little bit of a losing streak here.
Yeah. Well, they have, but they also have had Dean Ambrose on a losing streak, too, and he still gets over pretty well. So
is Dean Ambrose, though, now still in the championship picture, or is he kind of in the muddy waters again? He lost. You got Rollins moving on.
Yeah.
He fought Sheamus last night.
Right. I don't know. I mean, we'll have to just wait and see.
And then you have Orton kind of just hanging out there.
Right.
So, I mean.
Yeah, and again, it's just very, like, it's almost like someone is waiting for something. You know, maybe, like, they're just trying to get through this month, and they know what they're doing for SummerSlam, so they're kind of just waiting to see. You know, the build-up needs to be starting now. With Brock Lesnar returning, the build-up begins between Lesnar and Rollins. I still think that you're going to get that match at SummerSlam, but you know, what else are we going to get at SummerSlam that's going to be so special?
Well, you could get a Brock Rollins, possibly, or a Brock Sheamus.
Yeah.
You would get maybe a Cena Owens 4.
Right.
Actually, I had heard that there is another special event scheduled on the WWE Network only before SummerSlam. So Battleground, then possibly this. So there could be a Owens Cena 5.
Right.
Because they could go Battleground, this special event. And then there's a July 4th special thing. But Cena and Owens are not a part of that. But Lesnar, I believe, is. And so is Chris Jericho.
Right.
They made that announcement on NXT 2 weeks ago. That July 4th, I think live at like 7 in the morning. It's only on the network.
Yeah.
And it's in Tokyo.
Okay.
And they have like some I forget. I heard it. They made the announcement like 2 weeks, but I forget.
I did hear about this.
I think Brock's on the card. I think Jericho's on the card. I don't think Cena or Owens.
I remember reading that because I was surprised that Brock was on the card. You know, he's actually going to Tokyo. Wow, okay. But that was 4th of July. I didn't realize that.
So that's another event that is going to be coming up. So there's a lot of things on the way here, and you know, so SummerSlam is the second biggest pay-per-view in the company. So
got to build it up.
I think this is the
got to build it up.
Yeah, it gets here so fast. I mean, heck, after SummerSlam, you're almost on the road to WrestleMania again.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, you might as well be. But we'll have to wait and see. And you know, NFL football season is just going to be around the corner, so they really, really need to be getting their product up and going. You know, because you got Monday Night Football happening. And that's the time that they really need to be getting stuff up. So Monday Night Raw, in the meantime, you know, we did mention Sheamus versus Dean Ambrose. Now, Dean Ambrose did win that match with interference with Randy Orton.
Yeah, and you saw that maybe Orton Sheamus could be the first thing for Sheamus since he has the Money in the Bank. Now, keep in mind, Orton had the briefcase a couple of years ago and cashed it in like 40 days or 35 days, I think it was. So we could see a quick, you know, cash in from Sheamus. You know, last year, Rollins had that thing up until WrestleMania. So, you know, we'll see. I think Cena got the briefcase and cashed it in on the same night.
He cashed it in. I think the following pay-per-view. Because I think he wrestle CM Punk then with the briefcase.
I thought he cashed it in on this almost the same night or maybe the next night. Or
yeah, it was really close. It was really quick.
We'll see though, because there's only been two Money in the Bank winners who have not cashed in and won. Right. Damian Sandow being the most recent one, and I was at that Money in the Bank in Philly when he won the Money in the Bank, and then he ended up cashing in and losing.
Right. Yeah. I think this will be a quick cash in. I would see SummerSlam maybe a little bit farther. I don't see him carrying it until WrestleMania. He doesn't need to build up. A guy like Seth Rollins winning the briefcase, he needed to have that briefcase for a whole year. He's got that build up going on. So Dean Ambrose wins, of course.
And that briefcase, keep in mind, almost acted like a title because Brock was off TV for so long.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and it might as well be. Yeah, because he had the title and wasn't on TV. After the win, Orton hitting the ring, attacking Sheamus, and of course we get more of this fighting action going on, and Rollins backstage with Joey, Mercury, and Jamie Noble. Talking smack, still a little confused with the whole authority mess. R-Truth versus King Barrett. R-Truth now coming across as a really big dumbass lately.
Yeah, they kind of have him almost back in that little Jimmy thing, except Jimmy's not with him. He's just an idiot all of a sudden. I've never been a big fan of the R-Truth character, especially in recently. He's doing Whoop There It Is from like 1998.
Yeah,
I mean, come on, man.
I'm beginning to see the humor in it, though. I think he's doing that on purpose. I don't think it's a matter of just bad writing. I think it's just he's just playing that we don't know what he's talking
Still
about.
Still don't understand the king. Yeah. What happens to the king? How does he lose the kingdom? Yeah. I don't get that whole thing.
Did you see R-Truth with his paper crown and bed sheet around his
I'm
neck?
surprised he didn't come out with the Burger King.
Oh, yeah. He probably will.
Burger King, I think he was the Burger King guy. Wasn't he at WrestleMania?
He was with Mayweather.
Oh, that's where he was.
Yeah. Dolph Ziggler versus Kevin Owens, which I thought was actually a great match. I just didn't understand why Dolph Ziggler was going for the NXT Championship like we mentioned a few minutes back. Kevin Owens with the win. And then, of course, we have Randy Orton versus Kane. And Sheamus comes in for this match, too.
Yeah. And then, of course, Kane loses the match, and he's like out of breath, huffing and puffing. And then he gets into a little war of words backstage with Rollins, and Rollins says, I want to fight you in my next. So that's what I thought was kind of odd, too, that Rollins like calling Kane out.
Yeah. And there's such a slow build-up between these two guys. I'm really hoping that this is not going to be turning into a SummerSlam match. But maybe that's why Rollins is battling Brock Lesnar at Battleground.
Well, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago on the Pillar to Post here will they give Kane one last run before he's done? And, a lot of times in that down period, like September, the fall, you might see a lesser champion because they know there's not as many eyes are on you during football season. So sometimes you might see that secondary type of champion who says, hey, we'll give you a run, we'll throw you a bone for being a good soldier.
Right. The Miz versus Big Show. Now, first of all, Big Show coming back after some hiatus. I thought he was part of the Authority. Quietly, he's not now.
Yeah.
I don't know. But they had some chants, please retire on Big Show.
Not surprising. I think we're all kind of tired of the Big Show character. He's kind of switched back and forth. He's been around for 20 years.
Yeah.
I mean, he's had a great run.
Sure.
It's just hard to do something with him because is he a heel? Is he a face? That's what happens. They muddied his waters so much. They had him in a diaper. I mean, he's doing stupid stuff like that. Now you're trying to make him.
Yeah.
That guy should have always been just a complete badass bad guy. That's what you are. You're a big dude. You're a giant.
Right. Handicap match, Paige against the Bella Twins. Of course, the Bella Twins win the match.
Yeah, and I don't know what they're doing with Paige. I mean, they the only thing I can think of is that this infusion of NXT talent comes rolling in here because you saw that meeting that she had there, and you're looking around, you're like, look at how bad the talent is in that Divas division. Yeah, Meanwhile, over in TNA, they've got great female talent. You can watch; they could have a whole pay-per-view with TNA divas over there. That Taryn Terrell, man, she is something to look at.
And then we move on to
she's the champion.
We move on to Kevin Owens and rapper Machine Gun Kelly. Like all one. I love that, by the way. I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, they bring in the guy from Cleveland, MGK. I didn't know the song.
Yeah, well, I didn't either. And I think he performed last time they were in Cleveland too.
You don't play that on Sojo?
No, we don't play MGK. Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
I think they should be playing that on Sojo.
Well, I don't make those decisions. I just talk about whether or not I'm going to talk about poop or not. But that's about it.
I mean, I didn't know the song. The guy's from Cleveland. I get it. And then it was funny because he got kicked in the stomach and he like tripped going backwards, and Owens like, get over here, dude.
Right, yeah.
You know, this is where the setup is, right here.
Yeah.
Apparently, from what I was reading afterwards, is that he actually asked for that to happen.
Okay.
You know, he said, look, do this to me. I want to be a part of it. So,
Right.
you know, Owens is really turning into like
Just a badass. That's what they need.
I don't care who you are, what you do. If you're in my way,
right.
You know, you're not stealing my spotlight.
Yeah, and again, I think that's smart for a build-up of Kevin Owens, and I think it's smart for wrestling because, and notice I said wrestling, not sports entertainment, that you have some guy like MGK that's going to push because he's a Cleveland boy, whatever. You know, you and I are not going to watch Monday Night Raw, see a performance from MGK.
No, and you know, typically they save that kind of stuff for like SummerSlam or
right, or you know, hey, have a performance for the live audience. You know, after Raw's over, hey, stick around, MGK performing, or have him do a pre-show or something like that before the camera turns on. Nothing against MGK, by the way. I just, you know,
no, I didn't know who he was.
Yeah, all right. So we got the New Day versus Neville and the Primetime Players. Now, do you think this is smart having Neville team up with the Primetime Players?
No, and see the problem is, I don't know what Neville is. Is he a mid-carder? Do they want? He was in the ladder match. I mean, is he an Intercontinental guy? Is he a U.S. champion guy? Is someone going to be his tag team partner down the road? They pushed him. So I can't stand that they call him the new sensation. That's ridiculous. How long is he the new sensation? Right. Why is he the new sensation? Yeah. What makes him the new sensation? You have him losing all the time. Why is that a new sensation? I don't get it. So no, I don't. I mean, let him be his own guy. Let him be, you know, an entertainer. Let him be a guy that, you know, like Rey Mysterio, where he just put on great matches, and if you want to give him a run at some point down the road, go for it. But I didn't know. I don't like the fact that he's kind of mingling in with just anybody. Just throw Neville into a match.
Yeah, why not? He'll do it. Before we continue, there were several different videos and tributes to Dusty Rhodes, and of course they did a WWE Network special right after Monday Night Raw. You know, I texted you as soon as I saw the tweet that he passed away. Apparently he fell, right? And it was
you know, I think he had stomach cancer.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Was something that I had read, and his legs were, you know, he was having trouble walking in recent times, and you know, he just fell, and you know, unfortunately, 69, and you know, for people who don't really, you know, remember Dusty Rhodes, we keep talking about Dusty finishes. The guy has, you know, he's kind of the mind and the brains behind a lot of like NXT and a lot of things that you saw in WCW in the early years, and just a lot of you know, interesting stories that you could hear leading up to, and of course the Hard Times promo. If you remember, not Maria Kanellis, who was the girl who from E that does the interviewing?
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
She's always kind of around for WrestleMania stuff.
And
she recited the Hard Times promo, very, you know, iconic type of promo. Him and Ric Flair. If you have the WWE Network, go watch in the Rivals documentary they did. Ric Flair versus Dusty Rhodes. You know, here was a guy who was out of shape, you know, but had charisma, and it showed that you don't have to be 6'4" with muscles. People loved the guy, and you know, he basically is going to be big time missed, I think, at the NXT and teaching some of these guys. And he's the guy who came up with Sami Zayn's name and different moves for a lot of these guys. Who, you know, I think it's a big loss for people who like, you know, love watching you know, a lot of the storylines and stuff, because there are people like, you know, you get the wrestling people out there, and if you're watching this, you're probably not one of them, but it's fake and blah blah blah. Yeah, but the storylines and the character development, and that's the stuff that fans like us watch it for.
Well, let's not forget about all the body that they sacrifice. You know, I mean, a lot of people say you're right. You know, a lot of people say it's fake and whatnot, but I mean, it is a journey to put your body through not only the working out and the falls and the taking the falls, but also the grueling schedule that goes along with it, and the traveling and the sacrifice of time away from family. You know, that essentially is your family when you're traveling with that group of people. And so, yeah, he will be missing. You know, I still have the image in my head of him presenting the NXT title to Seth Rollins.
And if you look at Dusty Rhodes, you look at his forehead, how bladed up it was. I mean, that. And, you know, another image I liked right towards the end there where him, I think they showed it in the video, actually. It was him and obviously Goldust and Cody, who were his real-life sons. And he's in there with the cowboy hat on, and it's like the three of them came together. And there was that time when the authority, because McMahon and Rhodes had always there was always something between those families, because Rhodes was a personality and very strong mind for the business, and here's McMahon, same thing. So these two wrestling families, well, you saw Vince at the Money in the Bank right in the middle,
tears
with
in his
Stephanie,
eyes,
and he was
absolutely.
clapping away.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you know, it was cool.
Sad
stuff.
There's always going to be passion when it comes to your business and your craft, and there's always going to be disagreements, and there's always going to be feuds like that. But I think at the end of the day, these guys all came together and put together something great. And I think for that reason alone, Vince is always going to remember that from a business standpoint.
Yeah, go watch the Hard Times promo.
Yeah, it's fantastic stuff. All right, so Stephanie apologizes for Kevin Owens' actions against MGK, says action will be taken because that's what's best for business. I said it before and I'll say it again. The punishment should be he should wrestle the winner of Brock Lesnar and Seth Rollins, and that's what's best for business. But
that's not a punishment, though.
Hey, it's what's best for business. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's best for business.
Well, we'll see. I mean, I think Owens and Cena are going to continue, because I think Cena will come back next week and say, hey, you hurt me, but you couldn't put me down.
Right.
Why don't we settle the score here?
Right, exactly. So Suplex City chant starts up. Brock Lesnar, Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman shaking the hands of Triple H. Now I'm all confused. And now we have a Lesnar versus Rollins match finally, but at Battleground.
Yeah, which is a lesser pay-per-view.
Exactly.
So that's kind of interesting. It's not one of the bigger ones.
Right.
And Brock has been off TV since he got suspended right after WrestleMania there.
Right.
But now it looks like he's going to be back to kick off the road to SummerSlam. And then, boom, after that, kick off the road to WrestleMania. I think you're going to see Brock be around for a little bit now. And I think he'll carry the title for a little bit. And I think this is Rollins. He goes on last night. I want to thank Seth Rollins. And I think this is the Authority making their turn, aligning with Brock. And, I think you're seeing the turn now, and Rollins is going to be out there by himself. And, we'll see what happens with the secondary characters, the J&J and the Canes of the world. We'll see.
Or what if Triple H himself does what he did for Randy Orton and somehow gets Sheamus to cash in that briefcase? Triple H runs with them. Sheamus is part of the Authority. Both Seth Rollins, Brock.
We know Sheamus and Triple H are good friends.
Good friends. I thought Sheamus was going to come back with the Authority. So what if you have something like that happen, and then you have Sheamus being the star, but Seth Rollins is still kind of part of the Authority, that sort of thing, and you have a Seth Rollins, Brock Lesnar, Sheamus triple threat match at SummerSlam with Sheamus having the championship.
I don't know. I think Sheamus is going to be involved in some capacity.
Sure. It's got to be.
My question is, too, what about Triple H? Do we see him wrestle again?
Yeah.
He was a part of WrestleMania. We know he's not going to wrestle full-time or anything, but the bigger events, are they going to use him? I would assume for WrestleMania, you're going to see anybody who still has a shot to move off those ropes will be a part of it. Right. Meaning Austin, Rock, Brock,
Undertaker, Sting,
right. Triple H. If you can perform, maybe even Hogan.
Yeah.
So does Triple H want to get a warm-up match or two before that happens? So I wonder if he somehow gets involved in maybe a Rollins Triple H match.
Sure. Well, PG, your boy PG, mentioned that. It's like, I see a Triple H and Seth Rollins match at SummerSlam. Boy, wouldn't that surprise a lot of people?
Well, I think it would surprise, but maybe yes and no. You'd be surprised to see Triple H wrestle again. But the storyline's leading in either that direction or him and Brock. So a lot of things on the horizon right now, and obviously we'll be keeping tabs on it here on Pillar to Post. So recap of the Money in the Bank, Raw last night, the Dusty Rhodes stuff. I haven't. How about Ring of Honor on television? I gotta say this real fast. They didn't do themselves any justice by putting 2 tape shows on in a row.
Right.
To start it off. The lighting's been bad.
Yeah.
The ring sound has been bad. The television production quality. You watch Ring of Honor and then TNA, which comes on right after.
Mm-hmm.
TNA, production-wise, blows Ring of Honor out of the water, in my opinion.
I think so, yeah.
But, here they are both on the same network now.
Right.
But a lot of people thought, is Ring of Honor now taking over as the number 2 brand behind WWE? I watch those 2 products. They're night and day. TNA is a significantly better produced, and that's not saying much, because they have some bad lighting qualities and blah, blah, blah. But Ring of Honor didn't do itself any favors by putting on. And in fact, I think the first 4 shows are going to be taped from when they were in Toronto, and they're just playing them. So you're coming in with the announcers don't mention Destination America ever because they've already broadcasted the show.
Oh wow!
So they're not mentioning, hey, we're live on Destination America,
and they're not even saying join us next week on Destination America.
No,
wow.
Nothing.
Okay,
because they already taped the shows.
Yeah, right.
The production quality has been bad. I think as they go to Destination America and get live, they're going to have to or taped to live.
Yeah, maybe after these 4 episodes.
I hope, but they didn't do themselves any justice by doing that.
Yeah, because if you think about it, I mean, Ring of Honor, the only time it was on TV was on cable. It was on some channel.
And they're taking those tapes and putting them on Destination.
Right. So you wouldn't expect anything great out of that.
But there's been some good matches, some compelling matches so far. But the TNA stuff, Kurt Angle's been great. He had the match with Rockstar Spud, which was pretty good. He had the match with Austin Aries, which was great. Aries is just great. I mean, he's a guy that I'd love to see in WWE. Angle is in some great shape right now. He's putting on some really good matches. EC3 has got a really compelling story over there as well. They got some good shows going on TNA right now. So
and Kurt Angle believes in his product. I mean, either that or he just really doesn't like WWE.
I don't think WWE is interested in bringing him back.
Yeah.
As a full-time competitor or even on a more regular basis. I think he still thinks that he has one run left in him.
But if Hulk Hogan thinks he can wrestle WrestleMania, so can Kurt Angle.
Kurt Angle's their champion.
Right. I know. So it's kind of crazy to think about.
But if Destination America is picking between the two right now, TNA is a better product. From the first
absolutely.
2 weeks, it's a better product than Ring of Honor.
Yeah, but I think Ring of Honor is certainly going to get more. Listen, I enjoyed the wrestling matches at Ring of Honor when I was there live.
Yes,
and I did the actual matches at WrestleMania.
At WrestleMania, streamers coming in.
Oh my god, and I saw that all the time too, and that's what I laughed at. I saw it on TV. It's like, they're still doing that crap, But the actual matches, I think, is what we look forward to, and everything else, that's just going to come in time. I think. The production quality hopefully will come around. It's amazing to me, and you were saying this, that they had 4 weeks already taped when they bought it and went and just put it straight to Destination America. That's surprising to me. I would think they kind of wait it out a little bit and then bring on the live programming. But I don't know.
By the way, WWE Tough Enough starts next Tuesday night, and there's a kid from our area, from Buena High School, that was one. I don't know if he's one of the final 13, but he was one of the final 40. Yeah. So that'll be starting Tuesday night. So you're going to have Raw Monday, Tough Enough Tuesday, Ring of Honor Wednesday, TNA Wednesday, SmackDown
Thursday
on Friday or Thursday, and NXT on Wednesday. I forgot about that as well. And I think New Japan's on Friday.
Oh my god!
So you got something to watch every night of the week. Plus
replays all night Saturday too, depending on what you watch. So
and of course Pillar to Post here on the 97.3 ESPN YouTube channel. He's Tom. I'm Mike. Pillar to Post. See you next week.